I am Rosie Kaiser. I'm on the Board of Trustees here at Unity Church of Hawaii. Oh, thank you, Tony. You can hear me. And I have the pleasure this morning to introduce our special guest, Kumu Peter Apo. He was raised in Waianae at a time when it wasn't cool to be Hawaiian, but his parents instilled in him the values of being Hawaiian. He went to the University of Oregon, got into the 1960s folk music scene. He started a group called Travelers 3, which recorded albums on Capitol Records. We have a star. They were so big that Barbra Streisand opened for them. Wow. That's awesome. He returned to Hawaii and had an aha moment where he realized how wonderful the Hawaiian culture was. He became involved in preserving and perpetuating Hawaiian values. He started a company working with developers and hotels to share Hawaiian cultures with visitors, and he became a trustee of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. The one theme that flows through his life is aloha. Aloha for Hawaii, aloha for people, aloha for all things. Mahalo, Kumu Peter, for sharing your aloha with us today. God bless you. Thank you.
Where we live, there are rainbows, and life in the laughter of morning and starry nights. Where we live, there are rainbows and flowers full of colors and birds filled with song. We can smile when it's raining and touch the warmth of the sun. We hear children laughing in this place that we love. Where we live, there are rainbows and life in the laughter of morning and starry nights. Mahalo and aloha. In Hawaiian custom, when you're invited to someone's house, you sort of ought to bring a makana. So that was a gift. That was my makana out of respect for and the honor and privilege for the opportunity to speak to you. Unity Church is just a blessing, I think, not just in Hawaii but around the world. It's one of those movements that is dedicated to making the world a better place. Transcending cultural conflict, political conflict, and trying to see ourselves as one world and one people. And so for that, it's always an honor to be before you and before a congregation of Unitarians. It is the season of Aloha. Oh, by the way, the Barbra Streisand story has more to it, but that'll be for another day. All right, you really want to hear it, yes? I was in a folk band, and we got around the country quite a bit. So we were at this. We got booked at this club called the Blue Angel, and the headliner actually was a comedian named Jackie Mason. Yes, and we were second on the bill. But this skinny little Haole girl was singing in the cocktail lounge. And I think it was her first job, and she had hooked up with her lifetime manager, Marty Ehrlichman. And not only was she in the cocktail lounge, first gig, Marty Ehrlichman, who'd never had any experience managing, he was a business person, but auditioning that same night was Peter Polymer. Yeah, so that was sort of a memorable. So that's the Barbra Streisand and Peter Polymer story. All right, so 'tis the season of Aloha. So I wanted to make that topic this morning, and I'm sure I'm not the first one to speak to this congregation about Aloha. But you know what's amazing about Aloha is that if you ask 20 people what it means, you get 20 different answers. And it's as it should be, because Aloha as a component of the Hawaiian language and as a word is so deep and it is so all-encompassing, and it basically, in one word, represents an entire lifestyle and behavioral system. And that is, I think, Hawaii and Hawaiians a gift to the world. So today you can kind of add my perspective to your archives of what Aloha means, because it's different for everyone. But I'm going to deal with some real basics. Let's break the word down. The first three letters, alo, A-L-O, speaks to being face-to-face, to being in one's presence. Ha, you all know what ha means, yes? So, ha with me. All right, now, when Hawaiians greet each other, you'll see more and more today this returning to be customary. We will touch foreheads, and we will say, aloha. That act is that we're breathing and sharing and exchanging breaths of life. When you exchange your breath of life, and by the way, that physical manifestation of the word aloha is called ahoni. That exchange of the breath of life does several profound things. One is that it commits both people to accepting responsibility for the welfare and the safety, the well-being of the receiver of your aloha. It's an unconditional extension of love, of trust, and friendship. And what is amazing about aloha is that it is extended to total strangers. That's a pretty heavy-duty concept. Let me digress a little and contrast that with what I think is fair to say is a global standard greeting, which is the handshake. So can anyone here know the origin of the handshake? No weapons in your hands. It was a warrior greeting. And it said, I have no weapons. And so when you shook hands, it was an uneasy sort of cautious approach generally from a chief to chief. And you will also notice, even today, in a handshake, it is a way to actually prevent the other person from getting too close. It's protecting your personal distance. Now, it's not what it means today, but that's the origin of the word. So the handshake had some really auspicious beginnings, you know. And then comes the word aloha, which actually is just the opposite of that. It is the opening. And then, you know, like the hug fest you had this morning, I call it the hugorama, is the ultimate expression of aloha. It's kind of unfortunate in this day and age that we can't, you know, freely express ourselves by hugging each other as we used to. We have all kinds of legal things and personnel policies about hugging and stuff. But that's what I like about being in this place. So aloha, in exchange of breath of life, accepting responsibility for each other. The concept of aloha is specific to the intention of a whole behavior system that Hawaiians applied to taking responsibility. And aloha is, while we generally think of it as an exchange between two people, obviously you know that it's more than just people. It's about the world. It's aloha for plants. It's aloha for animals. It's a relationship, in the Hawaiian context that you had, that the concept is that humans are not exclusive and above the rest of the life forms, even inanimate life forms, that we are equal, and that the respect that we have expressed through this whole idea of aloha for everything, for all life, animate or inanimate. So, thank you. So there's no boundaries to what or to whom one should embrace with aloha. And it's particularly a magnanimous cultural act as a personal greeting, that is routinely extended, as we mentioned earlier, to strangers. What I'm so proud of is this place called Hawaii, where aloha is fundamental to Hawaii's community psyche, right? It's acted out routinely in thousands of acts of kindness, tolerance, understanding, and benevolence. It's innate to our condition as a people. It's the one value that we all share, the one thing that transcends our cultural differences and our political differences. It brings us together in mutual respect. The one thing that we cherish and most about the act is that we act it out without even having to think about it. It's not like we walk around saying, "Oh, I think I'll do aloha today." It just kind of oozes out of, which is just wonderful. So sometimes we have to remind ourselves, though, that as much as we talk about aloha, that it's a verb. Okay, so I got a verb story, and this has to do with the word love. My wife and I. So whenever I would misbehave, do something that would really get her angry, and I would try to make up and say, "Honey, I'm sorry, I love you," and she would point a finger at me and say, "Love is a verb." All right? So it really got me thinking. So I wrote this song, and I'm going to sing the chorus to you. Love is more than just a word if you mean it to be true. It's not so much what you say, love is what you do. So when you say, "I love you," just remember, no matter how you put it into words, love is a verb. So you got to apply that to aloha. Aloha is a verb. Okay? Aloha is only as good as we act it out. It's a call to action. It's a behavioral belief system that requires that we act on it. So it's not enough to put it on a poster, or a bumper sticker or a magnet that you stick on your refrigerator. So basically, no action, no aloha. Doesn't matter what you say. So my talk story, today is basically all about aloha is a verb. So do something nice for somebody or for something or someplace. So let me tell you a couple of stories of aloha in action here in Hawaii. So I'm standing in a line at Safeway at the cashier line, and there's six of us in the line, and the woman, elderly woman, who's in the front making the exchange with the cashier, has a coin purse that she drops, and all these coins are spilling out over the floor. So, normally the 5 people behind her would go, "Oh, how long is this going to take?" The 5 people immediately, without hesitation, got down on their hands and knees and started picking up coins for her. Where else would that occur, right? Except here in Hawaii. It was amazing. The second story I actually just read about yesterday in the Star Advertiser, and had to do with one of the Pearl Harbor veterans who was on his way home to San Diego, a 97-year-old. His name was Ray Raymond. He was on a Hawaiian Air flight just leaving Hawaii. And he was here with his family. So when they boarded the plane, they were the last to board, apparently. And the stewardess noted that there was something that they were really distressed about, something that apparently happened, I guess, in the airport, either as or before they were boarding. So she was trying to think of ways to cheer them up, and then she noted that the Makaha sons were on board. So she went and huddled with them, and then as soon as you could unbuckle your seatbelt, Makaha sons and she converged on where the family was sitting on the plane. They began to sing, and she did the hula. And that started a whole deal where after they were done, people were walking back there thanking him for his service. I mean, wow, how about that? And this one passenger had actually captured all this on video, which I haven't actually seen yet, but there is a video. If any of you are interested, I'll give you the link. So random acts of aloha, probably the most genuine kind of aloha, these random acts. If we could get ourselves to start each day in somewhat of a meditative state, just a couple of minutes, and think through your day and try to build in a deliberate intention to look for an opportunity, at least one that day, that you can commit a random act of aloha. Thank you. It doesn't have to be a big thing, like two things that I just went through. And this is the notion. Many of us are not aware of the personal power that we have to actually make or break a person's day through our behavior. Sometimes not at breaking a person's day, sometimes not intentionally. So we got to give that a little bit more thought. But we have the power within us to make a person's day and to try to focus on, again, at least once a day, go out of your way to try to find an opportunity to make someone's day. You know what? If everybody in Hawaii would do that, the place would levitate. I mean, it was just absolutely So, what I want to do right now is I'd like to actually ask you to help us create a list of random acts of aloha, either acts that you have committed or somebody did for you or that you have observed. And it doesn't have to be just between people. It could be, picking up trash, inadvertently. We have a beginner here? Yes.
Good morning, everybody.
They're going to bring you a microphone in.
Good morning. For those of you who knew my husband, Jerry, regularly when we would be leaving a store, he would tell the cashier, has anybody told you today that you're doing a really good job?
When I go on my walks, I make a point to, I don't know, I'm getting all choked up, but to smile at the person passing me and say good morning.
My name is Shauna, for those of you that don't know me. I'm trained to be a social worker, so I tend to do more than one thing a day. That's just part of how I was raised by my wonderful mom. But one of the things that I've been trying to really make an effort to do is a lot of people in our society have become invisible. That we don't want to see the homeless people. We don't want to see the maintenance people picking up our rubbish. And so I really make an effort when I see somebody to really see them, to make eye contact and smile at them and say aloha. Because as a child, teenager hormones, I felt invisible, fat and ugly. And so I know how it feels to be invisible. And I try to help share that you are seen, you exist, I acknowledge, like the Indian namaste. The God particle in me sees and acknowledges the God particle in you.
Hi there. I actually carry little stuffed toys in my car, new ones. And when I see, particularly at this time of year, holiday time, When I see homeless families with children, I get out of the car and give the toys to the parents to give their kids for Christmas. Just little stuffed ones. They don't cost very much money.
Hello, my name is Michael. And one of the things I try to do, at least daily, is when I see the homeless, I try to contribute and give them money, but I try to involve other people around them. So I ask someone, can you give this to them? Because usually it's out my car door, my car window. And it's neat to see the look on the person that gets involved's face and help contribute to that. But I try to do as much as I can every day.
I currently live in an apartment complex, and when I get on the elevator, I make sure I say hello to everyone. But the other thing that's amazing about it is because now that when I get on the elevator, those same people say hello to me.
My random act is every now and then my neighbor is senior, and she sometimes neglects her plants. And so I just water them for her and just bring some water and water her plants and keep it moving.
Hi, my name is Natalie. I used to walk a lot at night, Waikiki, around the area, and I think it was last night or the night before, there was a luau in the aquarium area, and behind that fence was sitting a homeless young fellow, and you can tell he's homeless, and I stopped by to chat with him, because, it's just, they have so much to share with you, and so much they carry, and I witnessed two random acts of Aloha. When somebody from Luau walked out, he actually ran to this person and gave him food while I was talking to him. I had nothing on me to give him, but the conversation was amazing, and most of it, it ended as this person, the homeless, he said, "Hold on a second, I have something for you." I'm like, "What is it?" And I was waiting. He was just looking into his everywhere little places and bags. I put my iPhone to give him light because it was very dark at night, and he pulled up the whole bag, a plastic bag of little shells, and he gave me amazing, very unique little shell just to share. He said, "Here's for you," for having a conversation. It was just amazing.
Good morning. About 75 years ago, someone, my mother, named me, and now I try to live up to it every day.
Good morning. One of the things I like to do when I speak with customer service representatives on the phone, and they'll usually greet you saying, "How are you today?" And I'll say, "Fine, how are you?" And then I'll wait. And after a moment, they recognize that I'm waiting to listen. And they almost invariably start chuckling or laughing. And then they tell you how their day is. And then I respond saying, "That's really good to hear." And so I started doing that about 5 years ago. And I actually find I get more from hearing their response than my asking them, "How's their day?" and mean it.
Awesome. We have a gentleman down here. Great.
Okay, my random acts of kindness are when people are standing at the light and they have a little sign that says they're hungry, I always give them money. I have given money to homeless people, and one day I bought some fruit and vegetables for this man by Safeway, and he acted like I gave him gold. He was so excited. Whenever I see the Salvation Army bucket, I always put money in it. That's my ritual for the holidays. Whenever I pass that bucket, I need to put something in to keep the law of circulation working. So that's what I do.
I try to follow my mother's example by paying attention to people and looking them in the eye and thanking them, whether it's the cashier, especially the bagger at the grocery store, make eye contact. And I mean, that's just one thing, but just paying attention to the people that we run across and letting them know you see them and appreciate them. And I have another suggestion for something that a lot of us could do. I see a lot of tags still up there on the wreaths for Gregory House gifts. And a random act of kindness would be for you to get one of those today and fulfill it and bring it back to the church by tomorrow.
How about one more? Yep.
Good morning. My name is Donna. What I've done for years, I'm a caregiver. I take care of seniors. I always compliment people. I don't care in the elevator, in the store. If I see a name tag, I make sure I thank you, David, whatever. And it's so important because some people don't care. And just to get a nice compliment, you look pretty, your hair's nice, whatever. It just makes their day.
One last one.
Okay.
My name is Zabia, and I've always tried to make and be aware of the position of my face. Be aware of what's going on in your face. And I try to make the default position of my face a smile.
I want to comment on a couple of them. First of all, how about it? It's on. Hello. There is nothing more simple and more powerful than a smile. And you nailed it when you said, a smile says to the other person, I acknowledge that you exist, right? So it's little things like that we don't realize the power of that we have through the simplest of acts of aloha, and the smile is one of them. The other thing that I wanted to mention is probably the most difficult circumstances or the construct in acting out aloha behavior is with people with whom you don't agree. In situations of conflict, whether conflict is political, whether conflict is cultural, social, whatever it is, that is the time that it is most important that we're able to maintain our aloha, our decorum, and our respect for each other. And if we can do that, we'll go a long ways. Now, lastly, aloha is also about what not to do. It's as important that we restrain from anti-aloha behavior as it is to act out aloha. One of the things, especially in this world of communications, to me personally, how people just kind of leave the room, even though they're in the room and sitting next to you with the cell phone, right? Or, until there is, I think, some sort of addressing cell phone behavior, again, as something that we should be conscious of and not do, that would be really helpful, I think, for a lot of us. But God, so great. Thank you for sharing all those stories. It's awesome. Aloha is a verb. So I'm going to leave you with one last song. Last night I had the strangest dream I never dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room, and the room was filled with men. And the papers they were signing said they'd never fight again. And when the papers were all signed and the 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands and danced around, and grateful prayers were prayed. and the people in the streets below were dancing round and round, and guns and bombs and uniforms were scattered on the ground. Last night I had the strangest dream I never dreamed before. I dreamed I heard the world agree to put an end to war. Mahalo.